Right. Well, to talk about the impact of Karan Johar's statement on the industry and on indeed the debate that's taking place in the country today, we're being joined by Ramesh Sippy, senior film director and producer from Mumbai, Mayank Shekhar, a film critic, Vivek Agnihotri, the filmmaker, also joining us from Mumbai, and Shaina NC of the BJP joining us from Mumbai as well. Let me actually start with Vivek Agnihotri, who's also written a piece on how there cannot be a separation between the arts and what's going on in the rest of the country at a time like this. Vivek Agnihotri, what do you make of Karan Johar's statement?
I wish he had given this statement earlier, and I'm saying it as a well-wisher, because, see, cinema doesn't take place in vacuum. So anybody who's saying that art and artists should be separated from politics, the world is not true. Cinema is very much part of politics. It inspires people, it enlightens people, it gives insights about the society. But what I feel is what has happened somewhere, that the connection between cinema and the society is broken somewhere. Cinema has got isolated on its own. They don't care about the society. Society doesn't care about them. And that's why these problems are coming. I'm talking more at an academic level. And I think if Karan had given this statement much earlier, things would have been absolutely different. Somewhere what happened, a lot of political forces came in between, parties like MNS and all those parties, and they started situation.
Okay.
And, once it becomes political, it becomes very difficult for creative people to even express their point of view.
All right. Let me get Mayank Shekhar in on this. Mayank, Vivek Agnihotri is making the point that this statement has come finally. It's too little, but it's too late, but not too little. Do you really think it's really for the film industry to be talking about condemning terrorism? We all condemn terrorism. We all condemn the death of soldiers. We all support the army in different ways. But the fact is that is it really our place as civil society to be laying down the law, to be capitulating to people who are bullying us into defining our notion of patriotism or nationalism? And that's what Karan Johar seems to have done.
Well, at one end, Vivek says that politics and cinema can't be separated. At the other end, he says Karan said it too late and now it's turned political. So if it is political to begin with, and whatever Karan has said right now, it should lead to MNS then backing off, which they haven't. It should lead to fewer threats, at least to the cinemas, which has begun all over again in any case. So clearly it's not about too late or too early. It's about taking a certain stand, and you're ceding that space of being rational, about being logical. And in fact, there was something very sinister, I thought, there was to that video, where it almost seemed to me that there is a gun behind his back, because here is a producer and a very influential person of our society who has to go through this in the sense of apologizing to begin with, and to say that he'll never work with a Pakistani artist again. And this is what happens to someone like him. I would want to go into what might happen to someone less influential, or someone more common, as it were, if they were to deal with subjects of any nature. So I think there is a lesson learned here, and which is that space where we debate rather than someone imposes their viewpoints on you is getting smaller and smaller. And it's not about the government, clearly, as it were, except for serious silence on their part for the longest. At least Maharashtra state government, of course, now the cops have said they're going to assure security.
Right.
But, it creates fear, and that fear is not good for any society whatsoever.
And in fact, that's an interesting point that you've made, because also, Shaina NC, let me bring you into this, because, there is no official formal government ban on these actors. The visa policy for them continues to be the same. There is no statement from Delhi saying that civil society members, actors, theatre people, artists, as the case may be, should not be allowed in the country for their work. And as Mayank pointed out, this film has also received sort of an affirmation of protection from the police. So why do we have to why did Karan Johar, in your view, have to wear this patriotism on his sleeve? Mayank says it's almost like a gun was being held behind his head as he made that statement.
let's put this into a reference to context. You have a scenario where Pakistan repeatedly exports terror and you expect us to import their talent for no shortage of our own talent. There's no reason to do so. What was the relationship in the past and what it is post Uri and Pathankot is known to all. The fact that there was an absolute silence where nobody from the fraternity stood up for the film from the film fraternity or people endorsing Pakistani actors spoke up post Uri and Pathankot. Yes, there is a sentiment attached to that as well. But what is the sentiment in total? It is that every Indian wants to stand in solidarity with our armed forces, wants to stand in support of our Prime Minister and fight this war on terror. Now, this is the premise. However, nobody is going into retrospective. Do understand what makes India and Pakistan different. The difference is that India is the country that, despite Ajmal Kasab being a terrorist, got a free and fair trial and was given the process of law under a judiciary, and then there was a final verdict.
The whole point
I am saying the point is this. There is a public sentiment which you need to question, where people want to watch it or do not want to watch it. It is their choice.
Right.
There have been legitimate permissions which have been given, a censor board certification, and the Maharashtra State Government Police Commissioner and Chief Minister have both said that there will be no security issue and we will ensure that everyone is entitled to see it and there is no law and order situation.
In a sense,
however,
finish your sentence.
there are two howevers.
Very
I just want to make two howevers. One, that you have a defunct political party that wants its airtime, and the media is doing just that. That's why we're sitting here and debating.
No, we're actually sitting here because Karan Johar issued a statement.
But the second is that Karan Johar's own community, that's the film community, is choosing not to stand by him.
Okay.
Because they have a huge sentimental attachment to the armed forces, or they believe something which is their courage of conviction.
In China, thanks very much for that. Let's get another member of that film fraternity in. Ramesh Sippy, filmmaker and producer. We've all grown up watching his films. Ramesh Sippy, what is your reaction to Karan Johar's statement where he says two things really? One is that he will never work with Pakistani actors again, and the second is an affirmation of his patriotism. Do you feel that filmmakers should be put in a position where they're having to actually pledge their allegiance to the nation in this manner for the sake of their work?
See, when circumstances change in the country, things aren't exactly the same. But I feel a filmmaker, when his film is about to be released, certainly should not be put into such a situation. He should be able to carry on his business, unless there is a law that says his film should not be released, or there's a government policy that says we are at war and we will not, his film should not be released. That's another situation. But without any such thing, to isolate one person and his film, it does not seem right.
So, Mr. Sippy, you just made the point that if there was a government order, that would be a different thing. So here what we're saying is that essentially, the film has got a CBFC clearance. There is no ban on Pakistani actors. The visa policy continues to be the same. So in these circumstances, what do you think made Karan Johar come out and make that statement publicly? Because there has been this controversy, but he's chosen to be silent about it for the last couple of weeks. The police assured him that there would not be any trouble at the theatres.
I think it's very difficult for me to judge what has gone on behind the scenes. I can't see who was behind him with a gun. I have no idea. So it would be unfair for me to say either of the things, but he should not be put in a corner is definitely correct.